It's a vibes, yes family, large up yourself. Lark, I see you, it's a vibes indeed. Large up yourself, big up to the family, Black World family, Selah Shalom TV. Yes you done know, cause it's a vibes. Hail up the king, yeah? Yes, I large up yourself. It's a vibes. Ice cold cool for I see you, king. Yeah, it's the spiritual hour. You know what I mean? It's the hour when the spirits come out. Close to midnight. Time is 11:11. It's a vibes. Large up yourself, big up yourself, family. Selah Shalom TV. According to the text, as it is written. Selah Shalom TV. It's a vibes. Yes, family, big up yourself, large up yourself, yeah? What you say, family? Selah Shalom chiming in. Peace, this your host, Selah Shalom, just chiming in. Salute to everybody still up. You know what I mean? We're going to touch on some spirituality like we always do. What you get over here is not your typical. You know what I mean? We touch on the abnormal, paranormal, spirituality. You dig? And you know how we like to start them things off, yeah? With a nice little spliff. Go sit down. With a nice little spliff, yeah? Yes, let that beat play, you know what I mean? Let the rhythm ride. Down a little bit. Let's bring it down a little bit, but let the rhythm ride. Go sit down. Yes, family. Selah Shalom, chiming in. Another day, another blessing. Go sit down. Yes, family. Yeah, got on pretty late, you know what I mean? 11 o'clock, but shit, like my man said, it's the perfect time. Yeah, it's the spooky hour, it's the ghost hour, it's the hour that the spirits of the dead come out and start taunting you niggas, start taunting the living. You go to sleep, they start taunting you in your dreams. Yeah, I'm working on the ghost stories. What I'm doing is I'm taking movies that are based off of true stories, and I'm gonna get the original concept of where these stories came from and use the Oahspe verses to tie in spiritually. But I'm working on that, so I'm putting that together. It's gonna be the ghost stories. I'm gonna take movies like Insidious, Conjuring. You know what I mean? Some of these movies, the Amityville Horror, some of these movies got real paranormal events that was based off these films. And they consider these events unexplained, you know what I mean, unknown. Some think it's hoax. But we're going to show in the Oahspe, when that time comes, that the spirits of the dead do linger around in homes. And the nature of the spirit could taunt you, depending on if it's a righteous spirit or if it's an unrighteous spirit. You know what I mean? A lot of these spirits, you know, they still linger in these houses, and they don't want people moving in the houses and living in the houses. So they'll haunt the living to get them to move out the house. Because, you know, you this may be your house, you died in it, and then you in spirit still living in the house, and then you don't want nobody in your house, or somebody moving in your house, and you're like, nah, nigga, you got to get up out of here. You got some spirits who cross over and still have that mentality in spirit. An example of that is in what's that, in Conjuring. I forget which part it was. Which I don't know if it was the second, the third. I forget which Conjuring it was, but it was the Conjuring where the old man was sitting in the seat. So when they started doing the Conjuring, they found out that it was an old man who used to live in the house, and he used to sit in the seat where the disturbance was coming from. You know what I mean? And he wanted them out. He was like, "Get out my house! Get out my house!" They were trying to get him to leave the house. You know what I'm saying? Because the spirit ain't want him there. So these things are real. It's like there are abnormal events where these things happen, and people, you know, in denial of it. Linda Beach, I see you. I really need the vibes tonight. Yes, it's a stormy night too. It's spooky hour, yo. It's storming, it's raining, it's lightning, it's thunder. Let's touch on some spirituality, yo. Let's touch on the nature of the lingering spirits, the drudges. And everybody is influenced by these spirits. So some people may see me smoking and be like, "Oh, Selah, you smoking? You know, the Oahspe say this." Like, come on, let's be realistic. Ain't none of you niggas perfect. Ain't none of you niggas holier than thou. So, according to the Oahspe, the drudges, the spirits of darkness, is everywhere. It's all the spirits of the dead that haven't resurrected above the first heaven, that's still lingering on earth. Oahspe said there's hundreds of thousands of millions of spirits of the dead lingering on earth. You think they're not influencing mortals? For good or for bad? Supreme, what's good? Peace, God. Peace to the God, man. What's good, Supreme? My nigga Luck. What it do, King? Got to get you up here on some knowledge. Let the people hear you out, you know what I mean? But you know your boy, man. I touch on the unseen, that which they considered spooky or undetected is what I touch on. Because in life, it's a 360 degrees. 180 of it is the physical, and the other 180 is spiritual. A lot of time we leave out the spiritual because it's unseen to the naked eye. And a lot of times when we don't see something, we don't believe it, we don't accept it, it's not tangible to the touch, we don't believe it. We reject it. And I understand that because I've been through there. But then it comes a point where elevation is a must. You have to get knowledge that exists outside of what you normally know. So when I found out that the truth of the matter is that the unseen is the cause of the seen. The unseen have more fluence than the physical. The proof of that is in your very existence. the physical body is tangible, but the spirit that activates the body is invisible or unseen. Now, when we say unseen, we're not speaking spookism. We're speaking science, because the unseen exists in the electromagnetic spectrum. Let me give you an example. Facts, King. The hardest thing to do is to own homework. Facts. So let me give you an example of the unseen. This is an example of the unseen and the seen. It's based off the electromagnetic spectrum. So everything that we see in visible sight is 700 to 300 nanometers, 400 nanometers. Outside of 700 to 300 nanometers is what we would consider unseen, or outside of visible light. And that's where the ancestors dwell. That's where the angels, the archangels, the spirits of the dead, whatever name you want to place on it, when you cross over, when you shed this physical body, you exist in one of the frequencies outside of visible light. Whether it be the gamma ray, the ultra ray, the infrared, the microwave, with whichever frequency your spiritual body is vibrating at, that vibrational frequency will you exist in after you shed the physical body. Now, when you eat healthy foods and you have an alkaline diet, your spiritual body or your body vibrate faster. So the faster vibrational frequencies is more towards the 400, 300 nanometer range. 300 nanometers outside of visible light. 400 nanometers is just at the border of visible light. But look at the color spectrum, if you notice, of visible light. The color spectrum of visible light is the exact same color spectrum of this right here. The electromagnetic spectrum, the pH scale. Boom. See that? The pH scale and the electromagnetic spectrum share the same color spectrum. You know why? Because it's one and the same. Alkalinity and acid determines if you're going to be healthy or not. The more acid your body is, the more slower the vibrational frequency is, and the more sickly you will become. But the more alkaline your body is, the faster the vibrational frequency is, and you'll be more healthier. So now look at the vibrational frequencies coming back to the electromagnetic spectrum. Same vibrational frequencies, but if you notice, the alkaline side is more on the faster vibrational frequency side. The acidic side is more on the slower vibrational frequency side. So the slower your body vibrates will fall under these frequency ranges on the left. From 600 to 700 nanometers. That's a slower vibrational frequency. And the color spectrum expressed that vibrational frequency. The proof of that is in the rising sun. When you look at the rising sun, the sun is damn near red. It's a dark orange red when the sun rises. But when it reaches high noon, it's bright yellow. That's due to the electromagnetic vibrational frequency. So when the earth or when the sun is rising and setting, the vibrational frequencies are, the wavelengths are longer. That's the reason why we see red, because of the vibrational frequencies are long wavelengths. The reason the sky is blue is because the vibrational frequencies is moving at a nanometer between 500 nanometers as you see the color spectrum. So all this is science. Everything is science. Nature is color coded, and the colors express the vibrational frequency of that nanometer or of that wave. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of science upon the physical and the spiritual, or the seen and the unseen, to show and prove that these things are based off science and not spookism, you know what I mean, or wishful thinking, you know what I mean? Man, I use science for these things there. What lives longer on your body? Interesting. The body has 12 systems. You know what I mean? And the most important of those 12 systems, as far as the existence, would be the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord, and the heart. The heart and the brain would... Now that's just dealing with the organs. Then you got the senses. Now the last senses you have after you die is your hearing. Your hearing is the last thing to go at death. That's what a lot of people who so-called say when they die, or they have a death experience when they come back, or they're on a hospital bed or on the operating table, and they tell you that they hear everything that's going on when they regain their consciousness or when they come back. They let you know one thing is that they hear what's going on. So hearing is the last sense that leaves the corporeal during the time of death. But big up to my dude Lucky. Hair indeed. And you know, hair, see, everything is based off minerals. So what minerals make up hair? Hair is carbon based. And the reason our hair spirals like in the locks is because of iron. Iron and carbon is determining factor of your hair being black and your hair coiling. But true indeed, hair indeed, King. Yeah, people chiming in. But yeah, though, I want to touch on a couple things. You know, the Kemites. You got the Kemites, the ancient Egyptians, and then you got the ancient Sumerians, or the ancient Mesopotamians, I would say. Now, in ancient Egypt, the Egyptians, they didn't too much care for long hair and beards and shit like that. They considered that unclean back then. So like the Shepherd kings, you know what I mean? The Hyksos and all these people had lofty beards and long locks. And these were the people that came into Egypt, and the Egypt had a gripe against them because of their customs and culture was different from the Egyptians. But I want to read in the Oahspe where it gives a detailed description about the Persians and how they looked, and you know what I mean? If you really get technical, our lineage is Africa indeed. But then we overlooked that Persia had black people too. And these black people in Persia looked at, to me, what we would call Rastaman, the Rastafari. So let me go to some of the pictures, and I'm going to read from the Oahspe. So like here, these are Persians right here. This is on the relief, on one of the reliefs in Persia, showing you what the Persians in antiquity looked like. They were copper skin tone as described in the Oahspe. And if you notice, they had knotted beards and locks. Let me scale that, the frame right there. Boom. Look at that. This is what you would consider the Shemite or Mesopotamian. And according to the Oahspe, when I say Shem, I'm not talking to a person named Shem, like they descended from Shem. But if you understand the flood in the Oahspe, you know what I mean when I say Shem. But I'll just say Shem for layman terms. So again, what you see in here is a copper skin person. Although this is a statue or whatever, but it still depicts the color of the people, the nature of the people. He looked like me a little bit. Look at that. Look at him and look at me. And then back to him. That look like me right there. Hands fucking down. You put the locks on them, bam, there go your boy Selah Shalom in ancient Persia. Saying that to say that black people dominated and ruled ancient Persia. The Persians you have today is not the same Persians of antiquity. See that? There go a side view of your boy Selah Shalom. Boom. Let's do it. Boom. See me? Take that side view. Boom. Come back to him. There your boy go right there. You see that? If I was in ancient Egypt looking like the way I look, I would be rejected because of my long locks and my beard. They'd be like, oh, that's unclean. We shave our hair in ancient Kemet, blah, blah, blah. Not saying that with all the Egyptians, because, you know, ancient Africa had a multiple society. So if not everybody probably agreed to that, but according to the text, we do see that they despised long hair and facial hair and things of that nature. So again, here you see another Persian king or a Persian icon. I'm going to just go through several pictures, just showing the people of Persia and Mesopotamia, showing you that these are the descendants of the so-called Hebrew Israelites. This is the area where Abraham comes from. Ur of Chaldea, Persia, Iraq, all that area is one and the same people. The Babylonians, the Assyrians, all of them is one and the same people when you look at their identity. See that? Look at that. Who that look like? That look like a goddamn Rasta man. Look at that. Tell me that look like a Rasta. He got the turban on his head. He got the garment with the fringes. The Israelites talk about the fringes. There's fringes all through that picture. See that? But look at the locks. Look at the beard. Look at the turban on his head. What you think balled up in that head? Them is Nazi dreadlocks. If you see some pictures of Rastaman who wear a turban like that, with the bubble on the top. See that? Boom. And look at this brother right here. Look at that brother. Look at that. That's a brother. That's a black man in ancient Persia. Look at the locks. Look at the bearded locks. You see that? Look at the writing. Notice the writing is cuneiform. This is what I try to tell cats. Abraham was born in a land where the language was cuneiform. It was not Hebrew. Abraham didn't encounter the Hebrew language until he went into the land of Canaan. Prior to his sojourn in the land of Canaan, he would have been familiar with the cuneiform language, because cuneiform is seen from Iraq all the way to Syria. All of Mesopotamia, you find cuneiform writing. Like you see, if you pay attention closely on this picture, you can see the cuneiform down below. And here's another relief with some more Persians. Look at the lofty beards. You see the afros. You know how brothers get afros and they pin it back or put on a hat and it kind of bubbles out in the back? Look at that. That's what's going on. This is Persia. And look at the garments. That's how Rastamaners wear them garments. If you look at the Bobo Ashanti, the Naya Bingian, when they wear their garments, that look exactly like that. And then bam, you got some more pictures of the Shemites. Look like they praying here. But look at the writing. The writing is cuneiform. It's not Hebrew. What the Hebrew Israelites need to realize is that your origin of language is cuneiform. You adopted Hebrew. Understand that. I'm showing you the origin roots of your forefathers in the land of your forefather Abraham. If you notice, ain't no Hebrew on here, it's cuneiform. And then bam, here go another picture. Now you know a lot of Rastas, they wear the turban. That look like a turban on his head. And like again, look at the hair. Look at the hair flowing out the back. Look at the knotted beards. See that? These are Persians. Now I'm going to read a verse in the Oahspe where it talks about and gives a description of Persia during the 23rd arc cycle after the creation of man, which is between 4th millennium BC and 1550 BC, around that time period. See that? Look at that. Look at that. Look at this depiction right here. Look at the bottom left, the bottom right. Look at the locks. Look how thick the locks are on that brother's head. Now look at the top left. Look at the dude with his hand across his chest. Hold up. Look at that. The dude with his hand across his chest is like he's saying, yes, blessed my Lord. Haliyai, Jah Rastafari, blessed my Lord. The one on the top left with the turban on, that look like exactly what he's saying. Those look like Rastas, man. The people that fit these people today would you consider the Rastafarians in the Caribbean islands. The Caribbean people from Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, Antigua, St. Kitts, St. Nevins, all the Caribbean islands, the Rastas, this is what you're looking at right here. This is the closest people to identify right now that look like the Rastas. The Persians of antiquity look like the Rastas of today. Look at that. Look at the beard. Look at the locks. Who wear their hair like that today but the Rastaman? The ancient Kemites don't wear their hair like that. The only people who wear their hair like that and lofty locks is Rastas and Sadhu of India. The Sadhu of India is another group of people who wear their hair long in locks. Look at that. Look at the bearded locks. Who wear bearded locks? Rastas. You don't see Christians with bearded locks. You don't see Muslims with locks and beards. I mean, well, you do see the beards. I mean, don't get me wrong, but locks, bearded locks, you don't see that. The only people who fit the description, look at that. Here's reliefs showing Persians swimming underwater. Take a good look at that picture right there. This is an ancient picture of Persians swimming underwater. Look at the fish. Look at the bag he's holding to breathe in the oxygen, like the oxygen tank. They were doing this shit back then, and these is niggas. These is Rastaman back then in Persia. But look at the water, and then look at the fish. Look at the men. They swimming underwater. That's what this is depicting. Men swimming underwater. What water they would have been swimming in? The Tigris and the Euphrates. That's the two rivers of Mesopotamia. Those two, or the Gulf. From the Gulf, the two rivers spread out, the Tigris and the Euphrates, so they would have been swimming somewhere over there. And here is the original picture of when I showed yesterday and the day before, the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life with the two cherubs guarding the Tree of Life, or the two Elohims, that's it right there. That's the original relief. Look at those features. Look at those feet. Look at those lofty beds. Those look like rosters. When you look at a roster with a full bed, it look just like that. They look just like that, yo. See that? That look like Rastaman them. If you look at Rastaman who got their beds completely full, they look just like that from that side view.